Tiffany's fingers trembled slightly as she turned the page, the book's strange allure tightening its grip on her. Each word seemed to pulse with a life of its own, drawing her deeper into a world that felt both foreign and eerily familiar. The title alone, Mischief Incarnate, had caught her off guard when she first spotted it in the school library. For someone who considered herself perfectly ordinary, a well-adjusted freshman with a knack for blending in, the book's cryptic name was an anomaly. Why would something so peculiar call to her? She wondered if she should have questioned why the library was so empty that day too. The checkout desk stood abandoned, no students shuffled through the aisles, and the usual hum of whispers, dropped books, or stifled giggles was absent. The silence wasn't just unusual, it was unnatural, like the air itself held its breath. But instead of unease, it sparked a childlike curiosity within her, urging her to explore. Wandering the aisles, Tiffany pretended the library was her personal kingdom, each book a treasure she could claim without judgment. The thought of borrowing one without checking it out flickered through her mind, a rebellious whim she quickly dismissed as part of the fantasy. She wasn't a thief. Yet, there it was, lying in the middle of the aisle like it had been waiting for her, a heavy, textbook-sized tome with no library markings. No spine stickers, no barcode, no pocket in the back. Most striking was the absence of a copyright page or author's name. It was as if the book had materialized from nowhere, unbound by the rules of ordinary literature. She flipped through its pages, mesmerized, until the warning bell jolted her back to reality. Grabbing her bag, she rushed to class, unaware that the book had somehow slipped inside. It wasn't until after school, on the bus ride home, that she discovered it nestled between two incomplete homework assignments. Her heart sank. She shoved the bag to her feet and stared out the window, trying to ignore the guilt gnawing at her. Had she stolen it? The thought was absurd, she'd never do such a thing. Yet there it was, undeniable. That night, she tossed and turned, the book's presence like a whisper in the dark. By 3 a.m., her resolve crumbled under the weight of curiosity. She slid out of bed, grabbed her flashlight, and yanked the zipper of her bag so hard it nearly broke. Under the covers, she devoured page after page, the beam of light dancing across the strange, flowing text. She read until her mother's morning shuffle to the coffee maker broke the spell. Panicked, Tiffany slipped into the bathroom with a bottle of red food coloring, splashing it strategically to fake an ailment. Her father would buy it, but her mother? That was less certain. Still, it was easier than feigning illness with a hot water bottle or worse. Playing hooky was new territory, but the book's pull was stronger than her morals. In the bathroom, she opened the book again, seeking a passage to soothe her nerves. One leaped out as if summoned. The taboo surrounding deception is man-made, the greatest of all their deceptions. Every creature lies. Why should one pretend otherwise? It felt wrong, yet it resonated. She knew kids who lied, had caught her parents in fibs, like that night they claimed they were wrestling when she walked in, or the wrong birthday cake with Julie scrawled in yellow frosting. They thought she was gullible, but she saw through it. The lies were pointless when the truth, a rushed cake order, a natural act, would have sufficed. The passage emboldened her. She giggled, realizing she'd need more food coloring to keep up the ruse for days. No one asked for proof, thankfully. All day, she read in bed, her focus razor-sharp. The book's dense prose, filled with unfamiliar words and alien ideas, should have overwhelmed her, but she adapted, soon speed-reading at a pace that would have stunned her teachers. At dinner, Tiffany picked at her liver and onions, her mind still in the book's world. She'd nearly finished it in a day, a feat she couldn't fathom. A passage surfaced. It shall pass through any portal of your choosing. Choose wisely, for your decision will reflect upon many things seen and unseen. The idea of summoning the mischief thrilled her, though she dismissed it as fiction. Sneaking out to perform a ritual was beyond her, but the thought of bringing magic back into a world stripped of it was intoxicating. The book painted a history where humans warred against mythical beasts, twisted the elements, and banished magic, leaving a sterile facade. Tiffany pictured using frog spawn for the ritual. She loved frogs, and an ostrich egg seemed impractical and ugly. Frogs were small, controllable, charming. You're quiet tonight. Feeling okay? Her mother asked. Fine, just a strange day, Tiffany replied. Her father, choking on liver at the mention of her ailment, set his fork down, earning a playful laugh from Tiffany and her mother. After dinner, she raced to her room to finish the book. It looked older now, its pages yellowed, though she swore it was pristine when she found it. Thoughts of Jason, a high school freshman she fantasized about kissing, distracted her briefly. She imagined grabbing his collar for a dramatic, movie-worthy kiss. Shaking off the daydream, she opened the book to the final chapter, the final lesson. But the pages were blank. Frustration hit like a scam check from a sweepstakes. She shoved the book under her bed and slept, waking with a new resolve. The impossible felt possible. She'd perform the ritual. The book had outlined it, read it fully, except something was missing from the world: gather provisions, and prepare a site. Tiffany sneaked into the woods at night, heart pounding. She dug a basin-sized hole, smoothed it with water, carved a pentacle in its center, and coated it with honey. Around it, she etched an infinity symbol, placing her father's machete to the left and a scorched stick to the right. Pig's blood, congealed and jiggly, filled the basin. She heated it with a butane torch until it bubbled, then ran to a nearby creek to wash her hands and steel herself. No flashlight, she didn't need one. Moonlight pierced the trees, guiding her path. Weeks ago, she'd have laughed at the idea of running naked through the woods, but now it felt right. At the creek, a doe drank, unafraid as it met her gaze. It waded through the water, approached her, then wandered off. Tiffany raised her hand to the stars, sensing magic in the air, on her lips, across her skin. The doe's acceptance was a sign. The forest approved. She washed her hands, returned to the site, donned a cloak of blood, and knelt to break humanity's spell of dominance. Waking at dawn, she brushed off leaves, feeling alive. The earth warmed her, a coyote's scent lingered, a robin's gaze reflected her own. The basin was empty, frogs spawn gone. She spun, rising slightly off the ground, then howled in delight, her voice echoing. Realizing her nakedness, she dressed and fled home. Ben gagged as he pried open a 5-gallon bucket, the stench of dog feces and water assaulting him. God, it's worse than last time, he yelped, clamping his nose. Jason, dumping another shovelful, grinned. It's ready. This'll haunt Brad forever. They'd spent weeks collecting for their prank on Brad Kennington, a senior who'd crossed them. He'll puke, call his dad, but never forget, Jason said. Ben groaned. Feels like we're pranking ourselves. Jason laughed, envisioning an elderly Brad, tormented by the memory. They trudged toward Jason's house, bucket in tow, when Jason froze, staring at Mrs. Miller's house. What's wrong? Ben asked. Jason bolted, Ben crashing into a fence in pursuit. Where'd it go? Jason panted. A frog, cat-sized, fast, stared at me. Ben, nursing a scratched arm, saw goop on his new chucks, clear, syrupy. More snot-like slime coated the ground. Frog slime? Jason mused. Ben vomited. Seth Cullen, swollen from bee stings, missed school. Bees in his room, a mystery, as they're not nocturnal. Patty Robinson, bedridden, slipped on clothes she swore she'd put away. Sam Kilner's rash came from poison ivy under his bed, another enigma. Kelly Sachs, late, washed swamp-scented clothes. All 4 shared parking spots near Brad's SUV. Jason, bucket by Brad's open sunroof, muttered, forgetful Brad. Spotting a massive frog on the guardrail, he crept closer. Its gold eyes locked on him, a sweat drop frozen midair. It leaped. Jason lost it in the sun's glare. Tires screeched. Brad's SUV hit him, pinning him to the rail. Tiffany heard of Jason's death stepping off the bus. Sobbing, she collapsed on her bed, his unconfessed crush tearing at her. A passage soothed her. Death is a stepping stone in a wide river. Step lightly, or be swept away. As she reflected, her window latch turned. The book, now ash under her bed, wasn't needed. Its lessons lived in her. The window flew open, screen falling. 2 6-inch frog-like creatures with human limbs stole it, dozens more appearing. A bullfrog, German Shepherd-sized, hopped onto her sill. Her mother rushed in, froze under its gaze. Tiffany, Star Wars-inspired, guided her out. "Take a nap, Mom." To the frog, "I know you're the mischief." It exploded, slime flying. Tiffany deflected it, revealing more creatures. One, Ponscum Green, perched on her fan, farting like Pete. She thrust them out, black smoke rising across town. "It's begun," she said. "Will mankind get it right?" Her familiar mood. "Yeah, me neither." Tiffany's room felt different now, as if the air itself carried a charge, a residue of the ritual she'd performed. The book's lessons weren't just words, they'd rewired something in her, awakened a part of her she hadn't known existed. She stood at her window, staring at the plume of smoke curling into the sky, a silent herald of chaos. The little frog-like creatures had scattered, but their presence lingered in her mind, their greenish-black speckled skin and human-like limbs a stark reminder of what she'd unleashed. The bullfrog's golden eyes had burned into her, not with malice but with purpose, as if it had been waiting for her to claim her role. She hadn't meant for things to spiral this far, but the book had warned her, "Choose wisely, for your decision will reflect upon many things seen and unseen." She thought of Jason again, the ache of his loss sharp in her chest. He'd been reckless, always chasing trouble with Ben, but she'd admired his fire. That fantasy of kissing him felt childish now, a relic of a simpler Tiffany who hadn't yet touched magic. The passage about death replayed in her mind, soothing but cryptic. Was Jason's death a stepping stone, or had he stumbled into the river's current? She didn't know, but the book's final lesson, nothing infinite holds one single form. Change is not to be feared, but embraced, felt like a key. The book was gone, reduced to ash, but its power lived in her, a spark she could neither extinguish nor fully control. Downstairs, her mother's soft snoring drifted from the bedroom. Tiffany had sent her to nap with a Jedi-like suggestion, a trick she hadn't realized she could pull off until the moment it worked. The mischief's influence, perhaps? She shook her head, trying to focus. The creatures were out there now, spreading who knew what kind of havoc. The car alarm blaring in the distance was just the start. She imagined the frog things hopping through backyards, slipping into garages, leaving trails of that syrupy slime. Would they grow? Multiply? The book hadn't said, but its history of a world where magic was banished suggested they weren't here to play nice. Tiffany's thoughts drifted to the ritual site in the woods. The empty basin, the missing frog spawn. It had worked, hadn't it? She'd chosen frogs because they were small, manageable, but the bullfrog on her sill was anything but. Had she miscalculated? The doe's calm acceptance in the creek felt like approval, but now she wondered if the forest had simply been waiting, watching as she tipped the balance. The stars had flickered with a message only she could read, but what if she'd misread it? The coyote's scent, the robin's gaze. Were they allies or witnesses to her folly? She slipped on her sneakers, still speckled with dried blood from the ritual, and crept downstairs. The house was quiet, save for the faint hum of the fridge. Her father wouldn't be home for hours, giving her time to investigate. She grabbed a hoodie, zipped it up, and stepped outside. The neighborhood felt different, too still, like the library that day. A dog barked somewhere, sharp and frantic, then fell silent. The black smoke was thicker now, rising from the direction of the school. Her stomach twisted. Had the mischief reached there already? As she walked, she noticed small things. A garden gnome toppled in a neighbor's yard, a mailbox hanging open, its contents strewn across the lawn. Slime glistened on a fence post, catching the streetlight's glow. She knelt to inspect it, the smell sharp and organic, like pond water left too long. Her fingers hovered, tempted to touch it, but she pulled back. The book had taught her enough to know better. Every creature lies, it had said. Was the mischief lying to her now, luring her deeper? At the corner of Mrs. Miller's house, where Jason had seen the frog, Tiffany paused. The ground was still slick with slime, a faint trail leading into the bushes. She followed it, heart pounding, until she reached the fence where Ben had crashed. A faint smear of blood marked the wood bends from his scratched arm. She shivered, remembering Jason's description. A frog as big as a cat, fast, staring right at him. Had it been one of hers? The book had warned of consequences, but she hadn't expected them to hit so close, so fast. The trail led to the school's parking lot, where police lights flashed in the distance. She ducked behind a car, peering out. Brad Kennington's SUV was cordoned off, its sunroof still open, the bucket overturned nearby. The stench was unbearable, even from a distance. Officers milled about, talking in low tones, while a tow truck waited. Tiffany's breath caught. Jason's prank had gone wrong, but was it just bad luck, or had the mischief nudged fate? The giant frog he'd seen, had it drawn him to the guardrail, distracted him just enough? She backed away, her mind racing. The book's history replayed, humans banishing magic, twisting the elements, waging war on beasts. Had she undone that banishment, or had she unleashed something worse? The frog things weren't just pranks, they were agents of chaos, slipping through the portal she'd opened. She thought of Seth, Patty, Sam, and Kelly, all sidelined by bizarre accidents. Bees, poison ivy, swampy clothes, random or orchestrated. Their parking spots near Brad's SUV felt too convenient, like pieces moved on a chessboard. Tiffany turned back toward home, her steps quickening. The mischief was spreading, and she was its catalyst. But the book's final lesson echoed. Change is not to be feared, but embraced. She wasn't sure she believed that anymore, but she had no choice. The little green creature on her shoulder, her familiar, had mooed as if in agreement. She felt its presence now, a faint weight, though it was gone. Was it guiding her, or watching her stumble? By the time she reached her street, the smoke had spread, a dark veil over the stars. Car alarms multiplied, dogs howled, and somewhere, glass shattered. Tiffany stopped at her driveway, her mother's car still parked, oblivious to the chaos. She thought of Jason, of the kiss that never was, of the world she'd altered. The mischief was loose, and she was its keeper. Whether mankind would get it right this time, she didn't know. But as she stepped inside, the air crackled with possibility, and she felt a spark of exhilaration. The river of change was wide, and she'd stepped into its current.